But guys, this is just the beginning of the sheath, and this already looks a heck of a lot better than what you see online most of the time. And there we go, guys. The sheath is done. Hey, welcome back, guys, to another video here. I'm going to warn you, this is going to be a little bit of a short build because I've got some big things in the works. All I'm going to say is odd items. That's your hint. Now, because of that, we're going to be putting out some bite-sized builds. Now, we're going to do this for the next few weeks until the big project is done. And today's project is going to be doing a sheath for this knife I made for a while back. Now, the blade's made out of a circular saw blade that was about 48 inches wide for big mill. The handle is a mix between antler and this wood called Australian Wandoo. It's fun to say, but I've had this for a while and I want to make a sheath for it. So I'm going to show you how I make my sheaths. Now, with my sheath, I like to do them dual purpose. You're able to have them strapped to your hip or do it scout carry, which if you don't know is just you run it parallel with your belt. So we're going to get started. So I've got my leather here. I generally like to start with a nice straight edge. So I get my big level out. I generally just clamp her down. You kind of want to make light passes for this stuff. This is pretty thick leather. Now there's my line that I can follow. So I arrange it a little bit, get in there with my knife, and then just start cutting. Try to follow your line as much as possible. If you got a really sharp knife, you probably could have just in those couple passes cut all the way through it anyways, and you wouldn't have to be doing what I'm doing. That's not good. Would I recommend doing this? No. Does it work? Okay, we're cut. That's a nice clean edge. So here's where the fun starts. I'm going to draw this out, and then I'm going to show you what I got. So a couple things have happened here. I've cut out my basic shape. I've cut out my piece of leather that's going to go between it, and that's what's going to stop the knife from cutting the stitches. And I've also taken my little tool, and I've put a few lines here into the spine. Now the reason is when you do that, you want to be able to have this kind of bend in half, and it's a lot harder to work with when it's solid, especially this 8 to 10 ounce leather. So we've got, as you can see, our strap here. I'm gonna put the snap on this side before we do anything, and this side we're gonna leave long. So we've got a couple things we're gonna do here. Next is going to be doing the stitching lines. We're gonna do that, then we're gonna glue this in, and then we're gonna punch our holes. But guys, this is just the beginning of the sheath, and this already looks a heck of a lot better than what you see online most of the time. So our next step now is for us to glue our leather strip in right here. Once this is all glued in, we can press our leather over, proceed to punching our holes. Now once this is stuck, it is stuck. And I mean that with a capital S. So you want to line this up, take your time. And then to seat this stuff, take your mallet. By doing this, you're seating that glue in there. You are really getting that glue nice and stuck together. Now, with this, you should be able to do the rest of your work, whether that be your sewing or anything else, and it should be fine. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my punch. Now I've got a punch with 3 separate pieces on it. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna set this directly into my corner. We're gonna have 2 lines of stitching going up and down here, but for this, I'd like to have it be one continuous stitch all the way to the corner. Unfortunately, my hole punch was really dull. The only thing it was good for was laying out my spacing of my holes. Basically, what I had to end up doing is doing it all with a drill. As you can see here, they're all spaced out nice. So what I'll most likely do a loop up the L, cross over, down, and back. So we've got it all stitched. I think it came out pretty nice. All the stitches are down in their groove. So like I said, if you rub up against it, you won't get hurt. So for the final couple things we're gonna do. So to start, I've got the knife in there. I like the way that's sitting. So I'm gonna make a mark on either side of this. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the snap about right here. Generally what you wanna do is you want to have the cup side on the top. Make sure you guys lay it down, get that set, and you have these little punches here. go. So I'm going to layer that in there, if you can see where I've got that. So there's 2 holes there. These are just these snap rivets. You put one end in, and then you pop it with a hammer and give them a good. Now, those are on. My snap is on. So I'm going to get my knife in here, get that all the way in, get that pushed in there. There we go. Now we have a mark. We want to work quickly with this kind of thing because we want to make sure that our mark doesn't leave. Boom. Hardest part for this part is getting your fingers in there. Yeah, got it. Now, what I like to do with these is I like to take one of my little anvils that they send with these, slip that up and in, so that's on, put that there. There we go. There we go. Now I'm going to make a 45 on the corner of each of these. So we've got a nice little end on here. That snaps, pops it right open, boom. So next step for us is to make our straps that go around this. And since we have such nice and big holes, it should not be hard for us to sew those on there. Now that we've got all our holes popped and all of our pieces ready to go, we're going to put our snaps on here. There. The final big section before staining is just going to be wet forming. I've got a bowl of warm water here. We're going to put our leather sheath in here. Now this warm water is going to sit in here, and we're going to give it about 5 minutes here. And after about 5 minutes, this is all the air is going to get out of it. It's going to be nice and pliable. But in the meantime, we're going to set this off to the side. We got to do something to coat the blade here because we don't want this to sit in there and rust. But we do need to put this into the sheath. That way it will kind of form to it. So that should protect us from the majority of the water. So we've got our sheath. It's very pliable, it's movable. We're going to slip our knife inside here. We're going to push that snap, and we're going to try to form this just around the blade here. You're trying to get that to sit right up against there. Form that right in there. So I did what little forming I want to do around the handle, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take this right on the edge of the table. I'm going to move the camera, we're going to get a piece of cardboard, and I'm going to compress this. And the reason I've done this before is it kind of soaks in the water and leaves a cool pattern, almost this wavy pattern. Boom, check that out, guys. Look at that, that is pretty neat. The grain is all pushed together on the edge, so we're actually going to be able to just hit that with some sandpaper and smooth it out. And like I said, the texture on there is really neat. Once we stain this thing is going to be sweet. So let's get to it. Got some chocolate brown stain here. That's about all we're gonna get out of it. It's not too much left in this bottle. So, I still gotta sew these on, but before I do, I'm gonna hit these with a stain beforehand. Saddle soap, it's not too aggressive, and in the future if you decide to do different kind of coating you could always do more, plus it smells good. The nice part about this too is basically you can rub all this stuff down, and yes, it would be smart to do the sheath before you put on the straps, but you know, we're not that smart around here, so we didn't think of that. Now technically a heat gun would be really the right thing to do, but since I like to live dangerously, you can can also stick this right in the microwave. I'm sorry, not the microwave, the oven, which is actually what I might do. Stick it in about 200 degrees for a very short period of time. And that will get all this stuff to soak in pretty good. So guys, I'm back from the oven. It's been in for about 15 minutes. I had it at about 170, which should have opened up the grain and really heated this stuff up and got it right into the pores. I'm gonna actually hit it with a torch here a little bit in certain areas, and that should get that all soaked in there. Now we're gonna sit here, we're gonna put our knife in there to keep all our straps in, and then we're gonna buff it. And we're gonna take a nice dry part of this rag and just wipe off those buttons. Get any further gunk off of them. And there we go, guys. The sheath is done. Time for some beautiful B-roll. Well guys, I hope you liked this bite-sized build. I'm thinking about doing more of these. Like I said, for the next few weeks while I work on the big project, we're gonna be having some of these bite-sized builds. Next week's is going to be how I make a new intro for my channel. And I'm gonna show you guys how to make a sign out of screws. And that's actually gonna become my intro. So check it out. We're gonna do that next week. And stay tuned for more crazy stuff. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side, in the upside down. Oh, I'm giving away too many hints on my big project. Oh.